Welcome back, Giants fans. We're going to react to the Week 4 victory, and the Giants are 3-1. Everything is good. This was a game where it went pretty much as expected, more of a low-scoring game, a lot of running, but the Giants were very effective, had a good game plan, they executed, so there is a lot to talk about. We'll get to it. Leave in the comments your reactions for this game, and let's get into it. So the Giants took this one 20-12, and as I said, it went pretty much as expected. I thought the Giants might pass the ball more than the Bears in this game, but I was wrong about that. The Giants only passed the ball 16 times in this game. They did have 44 rushing attempts, and that went for their highest total since the 2008 season. The Giants had 262 rushing yards. Mainly it was Daniel Jones. Mainly it was Saquon Barkley. He was the big one. We got a couple Tyrod Taylor runs in there. But yeah, I mean, the Giants' running attack was awesome. We knew going in that the Bears didn't have the best run defense, and the Giants should take advantage of that, especially with the weather. It was, kind of raining today. It wasn't the best weather out here in the Northeast. So the Giants took advantage. They had the right game plan. They were able to execute. The offensive line blocked pretty well. And Saquon Barkley continues to look like the best back in football this season. Saquon on the ground had 31 carries. I mean, you don't see many backs these days getting over 30 carries. Saquon had 31, 146 yards, and he didn't have like a monster 50, 60-yard run, but we saw some pretty big chunk plays of 20 yards, 15 yards, 8 yards, 12 yards. It was that type of game. It was beautiful. And my goodness, that screen pass that Saquon caught where he spun off a tackler, reversed fields, and still picked up a first down. That was like vintage Saquon stuff. That was awesome, and picked up a first down. I think that was a 3rd and 9 play. It wasn't perfect offensively. You would hope that this team eventually, when they need to pass the ball, can do a better job of that, and their receivers did not look that great in this game. Not many receivers at all got involved, but that was just not their game plan for this specific game versus a Bears team that's, probably a bit worse than the Giants. The Giants were able to go out here and say, okay, let's just control the ground game, control the clock, let's not beat ourselves, and let's just get out of here with a victory. And that's the type of game it was. Daniel Jones had a couple of rushing touchdowns himself. Passing-wise, it wasn't a big passing game for Daniel Jones. He was 8 of 13, 71 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. And I think there were a couple of drops too, so that 8 of 13 could have been even better. But as I said, that was the game plan, to just run the ball a lot in this game. They did not ask Jones to do too much, but on the ground, Jones was 6 carries for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns, as I mentioned. That was a big part of it because the Giants had at least, 3 read option plays where Jones kept it. 2 of those plays, he scored a touchdown. I think one of them might have been a bootleg, but one of those read option plays went for a touchdown. Between Darius Slayton, Richie James, David Sills, Kenny Golladay, they did not have many yards. I mean, Darius Slayton had 11 yards, Richie James 9 yards, and David Sills 5 yards. And those guys each had 1 catch. Saquon had 2 catches for 16 yards. A lot of that was the screen pass. Tanner Hudson caught that 1 pass for 18 yards, picked up the first down. And Daniel Bellinger led the team in receiving with 3 catches, 23 yards. So yeah, I don't leave this game feeling any better about the Giants offense, but for this particular matchup, it all worked out perfectly. In the future, when the Giants have to put up more points and rely on their passing game more, I'm still a bit concerned about that because our receivers have not been very good. Our pass blocking offensive line, aside from Thomas, has not been very good. And Daniel Jones, I don't think, has had a great passing game yet. He's had good games on the ground, but I don't think Jones has had over 200 yards maybe this year. Maybe, no, he is not. I just looked it up. 188, 176, 196 last week, and then 71 today. So yeah, the Giants offense passing-wise has not had a day where they've had to pass for over 200 yards, and when you face better teams like Green Bay next week in London or the Ravens in 2 weeks, you're most likely going to have to pass the ball more. So the Giants will have to open up this offense at some point, but at least against opponents where they were able to take things more easily versus Carolina and Chicago, a Cowboys offense without Dak. And, the Titans didn't have a good second half, of course, offensively in week 1. The Giants didn't have to open up the offense too many times, and that definitely benefited us because it is a new offense, and Daniel Jones is learning his, 3rd offense in the 4 years. So I think it was beneficial for the Giants to lean on the run more, lean on Saquon Barkley, who's the most talented player on the roster, and right now they're 3-1, so they're doing things the right way. But as I said, going forward, they're gonna have to do more than just this. They can't give the ball to Saquon 30 times and say, all right, give us 160 yards every week. It's not gonna work like that. There will be teams with tougher run defenses. I think the Packers for next week, you can beat them on the ground. The Patriots did well today, but the Packers at least can put up points on their end offensively, so the Giants may have to keep up, but we'll talk about that on Friday for that game preview. Speaking of that, I may stream that game. As I said, I don't like to stream games when Red Zone's on because I usually have friends over. I try not to, obligate myself to stream games during that 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock time frame, but since they're playing at 9:30 or whatever on next Sunday, I might stream that game, so I'll let you guys know. I might just roll out of bed and just, and talk on here with my out of bed voice and not be very entertaining, but I might do that if you guys want, so let me know in the comments. For the Giants defense, they did their job. They kept the Bears completely out of the end zone. They had to rely on the money badger, they call him, Michael Badgley. He had 4 field goals in this one. But yeah, the Giants defense, they did great. I mean, you saw a couple of moments where the pressure didn't work out for them. There was that one play where it was a 3rd and 20 and they gave up a screen pass to Khalil Herbert that went like 22 yards. He got the first down. So the extra pressure didn't work out there. But I would say other than that, the defense looked great. There was the one deep ball early to Darnell Mooney. That was like a 55, 60-yard pass over Adoree Jackson, who was in pretty good coverage, but that was a great throw by Justin Fields. I thought Fields today opened it up more than in the past. He took some deep shots in this game, and Fields looked pretty good for the most part. Of course, he missed some throws. You will get that from him, but I think Fields overall looked pretty good. I don't know if he's the future there, but I guess we'll find out. I thought Tate Crowder had a great game. I mean, Tate Crowder, I don't know about great. He did take a terrible angle at one point, but Tate Crowder had a good game. Led the team in tackles with 11. He had that big sack. He also made a big play at the end. I know when teams are trying to do like the whole hook and lateral thing to go 80 yards down the field to score a touchdown, it's a very, very low percent chance of that happening. But we saw on the very last play, that play lasted like 40, 45 seconds for the Bears, and they got up to midfield. So it was getting a bit scary at one point, but Tate Crowder made the key play on that 45-second play to knock the ball to the ground and stop the Bears' momentum, because there was that one time where Fields was near the sideline and threw it back to midfield. And then one of the Bears players got near midfield, and they were gaining momentum, but then Tate Crowder knocked the lateral to the ground. So that was a big play by him. We saw some Jalen Smith, too. Jalen Smith, of course, he was elevated from the practice squad, and he was second on the team in tackles in this game. I know he missed one arm tackle on Justin Fields in this one, but aside from that, I thought he looked pretty good. And I know the Giants linebackers will never be great this season, but if they can get just decent play out of Crowder and Jalen Smith, then hopefully the Giants will be okay, especially when Leonard Williams comes back, because he helps the run defense a lot. Dexter Lawrence may have had one of his best games of his career. He, according to PFF, had 8 pressures in this game. He had 2 sacks as well. You don't see many multiple sack games out of Dexter Lawrence, especially against a quarterback like a Justin Fields that can move around very well in the pocket. So Dexter Lawrence played his ass off today in the absence of Leonard Williams. That was huge. The Giants had 6 sacks as a team. That's awesome. They held Khalil Herbert to 4.1 yards per carry. Coming into this game, Herbert was a big threat because the week prior, he just had a monster game versus the Texans. He had a Saquon Barkley type game that he had today, but had it last week. And he came into this game versus the Giants very hyped up for, fantasy football reasons and things like that, because he was the RB1 now. But the Giants did a good job of holding Khalil Herbert in check. Azeez Ojulari had a forced fumble. The fumble was recovered by Kayvon Thibodeaux, so we saw our edge rushers make a big play. I believe I saw Kayvon played 45 snaps, so he's not up to 100% yet, but they're getting there. But to see Azeez Ojulari make a big play like that, on the replay, it looked like the ball just kind of fell out of Fields' hands, but Azeez got the pressure. I believe he got a hand on it, so they gave him credit for the fumble. But the Giants' pass rush was definitely a lot better this week as compared to last week versus Dallas, where it was pretty much invisible. And I know the Bears have a worse offensive line than ours, which is saying a lot, but still, the Giants took advantage of the matchup. I mentioned that offensively, but defensively too, taking advantage of a Bears offensive line that is definitely in the rebuild stage, to put it nicely. So that offensive line was like the worst pass blocking line coming into this week. The Giants defensively took advantage of that, and they put Fields on his back 6 times in this game. Fabian Moreau had 2 key pass breakups in this game. Plays that would have been big gains, like a 40-yard gain, a 50-yard gain. He knocked those passes away. The first one he knocked away for sure. The second one, I forget who the receiver was now, but it might have been the rookie Velus Jones, but he was in good position, Fabian Moreau, but I think the guy just dropped the ball on his own, so I don't know if that counts, but they gave him a pass deflection on that one, or pass defended. So Fabian Moreau had a pretty good game in this one, made some key pass deflections in this one. And we saw more of Moreau because Aaron Robinson left the game with injuries. We'll get to the injuries in just a bit because the Giants had like a handful of them in this game, which sucks, but we'll get to that. And as I mentioned, Justin Fields made some impressive throws and had some impressive runs. I think Fields looked pretty good for the most part. I'm not convinced he's like their starter going forward. Like years, I'm not saying he's the franchise quarterback yet, but Justin Fields looked good in this particular matchup. He looked awful last week, so a good bounce back by him. All right, so what else stood out to me here? There was the 3rd and 20 screen to Herbert. I mentioned the Giants defense sent like probably 5 or 6 guys, and they got burnt on that one. Saquon had the awesome screen pass reversing Fields. We went over that. Darius Slayton dropped ball. So, yes, Darius Slayton had a drop deep ball. It was maybe slightly underthrown, but it's a ball where Slayton had it in both his hands. The pass was a little over his knees. He had to reach back a little bit, but still a ball that an NFL receiver should catch. He was pass interfered with right before it got there, so the Giants still got the ball at that spot. So it didn't affect them too much, but, people always ask in the comments, like, where the hell's Darius Slayton? Why doesn't he play more? It's things like this. It's just inconsistencies and, like, him not playing through contact, which is, I think, one of his biggest weaknesses in his NFL career, is not being able to play through contact. And that play today was a perfect example of it. And just straight up dropping the ball. I mean, I know this one today was more playing through contact, but like Darius Slayton has had plenty of open drops in his career, which have killed the Giants. We saw it last year, week 2 versus Washington. He cost us a game. So I think Slayton's a good dude, good locker room guy. I want him to do well, but I just think we have to be realistic here and just realize why this guy is a wide receiver 4, wide receiver 5. He had some great moments in his rookie year, had some good moments in his second year, but it just seems like you have not seen the continuous improvements that you would hope you would see from a young player like Slayton. And I'd be surprised if he's here next year, but I guess we'll see what happens the remainder of the season. He definitely has an opportunity because this Giants receiving core is not good. Tony continues to be out. Wan'Dale continues to be out. Galladay looks washed. At least Slayton has a chance to just work his way up the depth chart, but he has not taken full advantage of it so far. So the opportunity's there, but he has to take more advantage of it. I mentioned the Giants the Giants offense was so, I have to give so much credit to Saquon Barkley because I tweeted this before. The Bears were so scared of Saquon Barkley that every single time the Giants ran a play action bootleg, Daniel Jones had the entire side of the field to himself. Like they were going all out to stop Saquon Barkley. So for instance, if Daniel Jones under center faked a handoff to Barkley and Barkley was going right, Jones can roll to his left and had the entire side of the field to himself. And it was usually just him, a linebacker, and a tight end. So either Jones could have taken off and ran for the first down, or Jones could have flipped it to the tight end for a first down. We saw that multiple occasions with Bellinger. We saw it with Tanner Hudson. Saquon Barkley was the reason the Giants had a great, not great, that's definitely not the word I wanted to use, but the reason the Giants had an effective offense in this game. Now, Daniel Jones gets credit, of course, for his legs and definitely being a dual threat quarterback. Jones, for what he was asked to do today, played well. I still have a lot of questions with him as a passer, but Daniel Jones' legs are a legit weapon, and he's using them right now. He did get hurt today. We'll go over that. We'll see if he plays next week. But Jones, for what the assignment was from the coaching staff, what the game plan was, Jones did a really good job. So yeah, Tyrod Taylor came in this game, I think in the third quarter, and he made some good plays. Tyrod had a read option play. He took it 15 yards by himself. He also had the other run play where it's the play he suffered a concussion on, but it was like a 3rd and 7. He put his head down, got the first down. So I appreciate the effort, but it was not a smart play. He put himself in harm's way. He did get a concussion. Jones had to come back into the game when his ankle was already hurt. So shout out to Jones for just playing through the injury. But the Giants didn't have a third quarterback on the active roster today. But Tyrod did have an interception as well. I think, it was more of an arm punt. People make that term arm punt when you throw like a 50, 60-yard interception. It's like the same as a punt. I give Tyrod credit for taking the deep shot because we've seen sometimes this year with Daniel Jones how he'll have an opportunity to throw a deep ball but doesn't take a shot. At least Tyrod Taylor rolled out to his left, set his feet, fired a deep ball to Slayton. And Slayton didn't make the best effort for it, I got to be honest, but Eddie Jackson made a great interception over his shoulders, so that didn't work out. But it pinned the Bears inside their own 10-yard line, so it wasn't the worst interception in the world. I think not all interceptions are equal, so that's one where it's like, okay, it's pretty much like you punted the ball. Bears take over inside their own 10-yard line. It is what it is. Graham Gano had a 43-yard field goal to go up 20-12. He did miss a field goal later to make it a 2-score game. He had a 37-yarder late in the game, and that would have put them up by 11 points and would have put the game out of reach. He missed it, gave the Bears a slim chance to come back. Of course, they did not, so it didn't really matter, but Gano made the clutch 43-yarder. I mentioned it was tough kicking conditions, wind, rain. I actually dropped Graham Gano in fantasy football before this game because of the weather. I went and picked up some kickers that played in domes, big brain move for fantasy football. I got that Cowboys kicker. He had like 14 points today, so that worked out. As I mentioned, the coaching staff had a game plan, and it worked out. Blitz Justin Fields, make him confused. That worked, especially the Tay Crowder sack. The Tay Crowder sack, Justin Fields had no idea what was coming. That worked out to perfection. And offensively, the game plan was run the ball with Saquon Barkley and do bootlegs with Daniel Jones and do read options with Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. That was the offense, and it worked out to perfection today. Now, to seal the game today, the Bears rookie Velus Jones, or is it Velus Jones? Velus or Velus Jones. It was his NFL debut, which I kind of feel bad, but he fumbled a punt. The Giants recovered it, and that was the game. The Giants get themselves to 3-1. It wasn't the prettiest victory. It wasn't. I will straight up say that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you win, 45-3 or 20-12 in this fashion. You just want to get out of here being 3-1, and the Giants did that. As I mentioned, I didn't leave this game feeling any more confident about our passing offense, but I still feel good about our defense. I feel great about our running game. I don't feel great because of the injuries, which we'll go over right now. So Evan Neal, the right tackle rookie, has a neck injury. I mean, you never know with those. It could be a 1-week thing. It could be a long-term thing, but hopefully he's all right because he's one of those guys that coming into this year I was most excited to watch. Had a very rough week last week, but it seemed like this week Evan Neal played much better, so it would be a shame if we had to miss a lot of time. Julian Love had a concussion. That, of course, could be a 1-week absence, but you never know with those. Daniel Jones, ankle injury. We've seen him have ankle issues in the past. 2019 he had them. I think he had them in 2020 as well. So Daniel Jones is no guarantee for next week, especially if it's a high ankle sprain. That's tough for a mobile quarterback like himself to play on. We saw Mac Jones, who's like a statue of a quarterback, miss this week versus the Packers for the same injury. So I'm not sure if it's high ankle yet, but if it is, Jones may be forced to miss the London game early next week. We'll find out. Kenny Golladay, knee injury. Not the biggest deal in the world, honestly. It's not like he was doing much for this team anyway. He had 1 target today, but it was thrown out of bounds. Tyrod Taylor had a concussion, as I mentioned. That is one of those tricky things as well because the Giants could be in a situation where Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor, if he does not clear concussion protocol, are out next week, and that would leave Davis Webb versus Aaron Rodgers, which would be a pretty shitty situation for the Giants. So hopefully hopefully both of Daniel Jones and Tyrod Taylor can get back for the London game in week 5, but that's a wait and see. Mark Lewinsky had an ankle injury. He left. I believe he came back, so you would hope as long as it's, not serious, he should be fine for next week. And Aaron Robinson had a knee injury, so that's why Fabian Moreau made those 2 impressive pass breakups because Aaron Robinson went down in this game pretty early, and he was saw with a wrap around his knee, so that, of course, could be a more serious injury. So, I don't know. Hopefully these guys are fine, though, because these are pretty important players. Guys like Evan Neal, Julian Love, the 2 quarterbacks. Aaron Robinson's a starting player, Mark Lewinsky, Golladay to an extent. But, yeah, these guys are important players, so if they have to miss a lot of time, that would suck, but hopefully it's not a big deal. So, say our prayers for tonight. But, yeah, look, we leave this game 3-1. It feels great. The last time the Giants went 3-1, they won the Super Bowl back in 2011. That was my, one of my favorite seasons as a Giants fan, obviously. So hopefully we have many magical moments like that. I know the Giants will come into next week as serious underdogs to the Packers, but the Patriots with a 3rd-string quarterback today brought the Packers to overtime. And it wasn't like it was overtime and it was over in the first drive. They brought the Packers to overtime, and the Packers won on a game-winning field goal as time expired. So it is not impossible for the Giants to win that game on a neutral field. I know the Packers will be favored by, 7 points or so, but crazier things have happened. So anyway, that'll do it. Coming up this week, we have the week 4 NFL recap video. We're going to have the Giants highlights recap, which I did miss last week, but last week was weird. We played Monday, so things were thrown off, but I will have that video out for you guys at some point. And then, of course, the game preview and spread pick show will be out on Friday. So yeah, hopefully you guys stay tuned. I might stream the game next Sunday. I will let you guys know. I'll keep you updated on Twitter. I might post in the community page, so I'll let you guys know. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Enjoy your 3-1. Enjoy Victory Monday, and I'll talk to you guys next time.